I think rebelliousness is misunderstood. When we think about rebelliousness, it's chaos, it's protest, it's things that are out of control. But really, rebelliousness is about challenging the norms that no longer fit.
Until we grant ourselves permission, it doesn't matter who else does.
Fear doesn't mean stop, it means stretch. Welcome back to Unapologetic Rabble-Rousers. I'm DocShellie.
And I'm Carla Lewis. And today we are feeling rebellious. We are going to take a crack at helping us rediscover, perhaps unleash the rebel
the
inside.
beast.
Yeah, there we go. That's what it's all about. So let's talk about this notion of rebelliousness.
Yeah. I think rebelliousness is misunderstood. I think when we think about rebelliousness, it's chaos, it's, protest, it's things that are out of control. But really, rebelliousness is about challenging the norms that no longer fit, challenging the status quo. Rebelliousness is challenging the norms that should no longer exist. There are a lot of them.
A lot.
That still exist that really shouldn't. And I'm going to take this on a female slant because we as women tend to get more of the brunt of the societal norms that tell us to play small, be quiet. Your voice doesn't matter. It's very much a man's world that we live in.
And we respect the men.
Most of them.
And the women, most of them as well. And with that in mind, the notion that we live in that influenced world, the fact is that the norms that we become comfortable with, that guide us almost unconsciously, it's really those kinds of things that we need to start getting at. We need to start challenging those things that are encouraging us to play small. The things that we've learned all along about how we should be. And the things that we remember from way back when about what happens when you aren't maintaining this, what you call status quo. So it's about discovering or rediscovering the person inside that was courageous, was willing to challenge things, not just to be contrarian, but in order to grow.
Yeah, I think we need to start celebrating the beauty of being different, of speaking up, of breaking those molds. It's 2025. It is time for us, men and women, but again, I'm going to take the little slant to the female side of this, to stand up, play big, use your voice. You were put onto this earth for a purpose. Don't play it small.
So we need to take a look at what is it that's facilitating the notion that we have to play small. What is it that facilitates us very calmly and without thought following the paths that we've been following, being the way we've been being so comfortably?
Societal norms dictate women should be quiet. We should play small. We should be agreeable. We shouldn't raise our voices. Think about, just go back to your childhood.
Oh, okay.
As much as my mother was like, you can do anything you want to do. You're not bound by, like anything boys can do, you can do better. She had that whole mentality. But also, I was also told to be quiet because the adults are talking. Don't interrupt. Don't speak too loudly. If my brother and I think I shared this on the last episode, if my brother and I were outside fighting, he's 8 years older than me. He should have known better.
We'll put it on him.
But my dad would come outside and be like, take it in the basement. We don't want the neighbors to hear. And it was always directed more at me than him. I might have had a louder voice too. I don't know, but I had a big mouth. But but just constantly told, take it down a notch, take it down a notch. Your opinion doesn't matter. This is what we're going to do. I don't care what you think. This is what we're going to do. Skip ahead to college. A lot of that was every time somebody would raise their hand in the classroom to ask a question, people, oh, here she goes again. You're rarely encouraged to speak up, to challenge the status quo. I had a philosophy professor in college. I wish I could remember his name because he was all about challenging the status quo and asking the contrarian questions. And so he's a philosopher. So, of course, we had these great debates in class, but it was really fun because we were given permission. It's probably the only time in my life I've been given permission to speak up and challenge the status quo.
And interesting, as you bring that out, an authority figure said, Shelley, you may now speak out from your place of understanding, and I want to know what you're thinking. And what we're talking about today is being able to grant ourselves that permission. Until we grant ourselves permission, it doesn't matter who else does.
No, nobody's going to give you permission. Like I said, I've been on this earth 56 years, and one time I've been literally granted permission. Nobody's going to invite you to the table. Nobody's going to bring you into the conversation and be like, I know that we're having a difficult conversation here in this meeting today, Carla, but what are your thoughts? Nobody's going to do that.
And if they did, you would be whatever you think, I think, right?
Then you're put on the spot and you're like, yeah, we're good. We're good. I'm good. We're good. I got you. I'm all in. But it's really important that we think about how can we be comfortable and confident using our voice? How can we be comfortable and confident not playing small anymore? I hear so many people say, well, who am I to do this? Who am I to do that? Who cares what I think? You care what you think. That is enough for anyone else to care what you think.
Yes, and you and I have had conversations that follow along the lines of who are you to keep your voice from the rest of the world? Who are you to keep the insights, the knowledge, the contributions that you have to make from the rest of the world? Who are you to withhold that? There are people.
Carla might have said that to me a couple times.
And you've said it back to me.
Yes.
It's Michelle effing Seyfarth and Carla effing Lewis.
Effing Lewis. That's who right. You are.
but so how do we, is it reclaim? Is it discover? Is it unleash that part of us that is willing and wanting to challenge some of the numb, just we do it because we do it. We can't even explain why. It just is what it is. How do we tap into that numbness and begin to disassemble it?
I think there could be a lot there, right? Some of it could stem from fear. I heard a saying the other day that fear doesn't mean stop, it means stretch. And I thought, that. Ooh, that's really good. Because how many times do we let fear just stop us in our tracks?
And
when you can give that fear a name, I'll go back to my habit brain and my CEO brain. Your habit brain is trying to keep you safe when it creates a fear. So fear is a good thing because it can protect us from the lions that are going to attack us. But fear can also prevent us from moving forward. And that is all that is. You have to recognize that is your brain trying to keep you safe. So you need to give that fear a name. You can call it Lucinda, call it whatever you want. Lucinda, we're not doing this today. I appreciate you trying to take care of me, but I'm going to take 5 steps forward today. And as you continue to talk back to that fear brain, you continue to tell it, thank you. We're going to do this today. I'm going to take 2 steps today. I'm going to take 1 step today. Your brain will start to ease off the fear, because your brain's going to start to recognize, okay, you are capable of doing this without me trying to poke holes in it, and you're going to do it anyway. So now your brain's going to have your back. It is a really powerful thing when you can talk back to the fear in your brain and recognize all it is doing is trying to keep you safe. That's it.
And once it sees that you are safe, even though you're doing something that's out of the norm as far as your fear brain was concerned, it can put down its burden.
Exactly. It can go worry about something else. Go worry about that piece of chocolate you're going to eat
Yep.
tonight.
No fear there. So being able to tap into what it is that keeps us from stepping out of the norm. And rebelliousness isn't bad.
No, rebelliousness is a beautiful thing. Think about it again as challenging the norms that should no longer exist. That is what rebellious in its true nature means. You might have to ask yourself the question, I'm playing small. What does it mean to play big? What does that look like? What does it mean to have the conversation I haven't had for 5 years? What does it mean to speak up in the next meeting I'm going to go to? What would it mean to share some thoughts that I'm having about whatever with whomever? Really think about, what does playing big look like for you?
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to be different for everyone. For someone, it might be, I'm going to start that business that I've been thinking about for 20 years. For somebody else, it might be that next meeting I go to where I have never spoken up. I'm going to share 2 thoughts and I'm going to ask 1 question. It's going to be different for everyone. For me, playing big is, I'm kind of bold. So for me, no, what? I know everyone who knows me is shocked by that. But for me, playing big is really, it's putting myself out there. It's doing all my social media stuff. It's stuff that I have been wanting to do for a long time, but was, again, even for me, that little voice in my head of, who are you?
Mm.
Who cares what you have to say? Some people don't give a crap what I have to say, but some people are like, "Oh my God, that was so good. That was really helpful. You're pretty smart." And I don't play big for the accolades. I play
No.
big so that other people have a shot at playing big for themselves. I play big so that other people can come out of their shell. I play big to have an impact on the world around me. It has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with how other people are impacted. And so that they can elevate themselves, the people around them, become the leaders in their lives that they need to be.
Each of us has some gifts that we're here to deliver. And it takes being able to step outside of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes also, if we could just maybe talk a little bit about how one thing in particular that trips people up from taking those steps is this notion of perfection.
Yes.
Okay, so I'd like us to be able to help some folks who might be hung up on that, the fact that they haven't taken some of these steps before, and nobody's perfect, and we learn by doing, but perfection, if I don't get it right the first time,
Right.
well, maybe it's easier if I just don't try.
Yeah. And I think, to add to that, I think so many people think it has to be perfect. I used to be one of those people.
Mhm.
I have my PhD, writing my dissertation. Woo! Don't recommend it. It's a necessary piece of the process. But I spent an extra 6 months paying for tuition so that I could get my dissertation perfect. Guess what? It is not perfect. I still passed. I earned my PhD and I defended my dissertation. If I were to pick that thing up today, I would find probably 22 more things that are wrong, that I should have done differently. I should have written differently. There's even a couple typos in there. It's not perfect, but it's okay. And starting this podcast, we talked about this, is Carla and I are both, we want things to be right and professional and done well and pretty darn near close to perfect. And our very first episode, we had stuff falling off the walls. There was random noises. We didn't know what the heck we were doing. And we were like, you know what? We're in this. Nobody's going to die if we screw this up.
Nope.
So let's just see what happens.
Right.
We've gotten better along the way. We still have issues. Like, this is our second recording of this podcast, for example, because the first one didn't record for whatever reason.
Even though it said it was,
we checked. It said it was recording.
Okay.
But
No
we won't
bitterness.
belabor that point. But the point is, you got to put it out there. And even when your brain is saying, oh my God, it's not perfect, people are going to judge this. People are going to judge you if you do or you don't. So wouldn't you rather be judged for trying than not trying at all? And in the imperfection is where you learn the greatest lessons.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You get that feedback either from your own delivery of something, from your own performance, from the feedback and response from people around you, or the results you get from whatever action you took. You get feedback. Without feedback, you have no idea if anything is working at all. So by taking that step, and you've talked about it before, Michelle, the step from 0 to 1 is the hardest. It's taking that step. Get in the game.
Yep.
It's a matter of getting out of the bleachers and onto the bench. Okay, cool. That is awesome. Getting off of the bench and now you're standing up and maybe you're cheering and encouraging. Awesome. You are taking these steps and you are learning as you do it. And one of the things you learn is that fear, it really is about the stretch. It really is about, okay, I did that and look, I'm still breathing. Okay, I did that. Oh, look, a couple people didn't like that, but I need to think about how important it is to me that they didn't. And what was it that they didn't like about it? Was it because I am not the way I was last week? Or is it because I did something differently than I did yesterday? Is it because they are looking at a change and they didn't have any choice in the matter? So you get feedback. And you have to temper this feedback with an understanding of, is it helpful? Are you going to, I'm sorry.
Is it helpful? Is it useful? And is it true?
That's what it was. That's it. Is it helpful? Is it useful? Is it true? And that also goes for your own feedback on yourself.
Oh, 1,000%.
Harshest critic is going to be yourself.
Absolutely.
So let it happen and learn from it. In fact, have a conversation with that critic as it's kicking in. The one that says, oh, that was stupid. Or, oh, you really screwed that one up. Yeah, okay. What was screwed up about it?
Well, sure did, but hey, we're going to learn from it. We're going to move on.
That's right. That's right. So don't let perfection get in the way. I have to share this, that in a work setting, Michelle and I delighted in the sharing of that. But there was one of the senior leaders, my friend Dan, he said one time that perfection was the killer of progress. And it ended up being a quote from, was it Churchill or Roosevelt? One of the two great leaders from a few years back. And I thought, perfection is the killer of progress. And when I first heard it, I thought, I'm not really comfortable with the message there. But you sit with it and you say, yeah, because if you are waiting for perfection, you aren't going anywhere. You are not going anywhere.
No. I mean, if we waited for perfection, we would not be doing this podcast. I wouldn't have my DocShellie Emerging You business up and running. I wouldn't have my social media stuff. I certainly wouldn't have written a book because I found some typos in there the other day. But messy action beats perfect inaction. every single time. So
Every
when
time.
you sit there in inaction because you're waiting for perfection, good, you know what you're good at? Inaction.
Yep. You're getting ready to get ready to be ready to get ready to maybe get ready to be ready.
Yeah,
But you're not doing anything.
but
You're
you're
not
not
going
doing
anywhere.
anything. I
So,
wish I had this great quote on my calendar yesterday. I think it was yesterday, and I can see if I can find it. It had very much what we're talking about, and it was such a beautiful way of saying it. This was on my calendar for January 14th, and it says, "You are winning at the life you have. What if you don't want this life? Fine, but this is the one you're currently winning at." So when you're sitting there in inaction, you're winning in inaction. I thought that was really just such a profound way of saying that. But I think it bears repeating. Messy action beats inaction every time.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, so how do we tap into that rebel? How do we get it out of the corner that it's hiding in?
Yeah, I think the first thing you have to do is ask yourself, what is it that I need to do? Well, how can I play big? How can I tap into my rebelliousness? And what does that look like for you? What does it feel like for you? And being able to think about what's that first step you need to take to make it happen is really, really important. You got to stop waiting for permission. Nobody is going to give you permission but you. Reframe that question that might be going around in your head. Who am I to do this? Who are you not to do this? Own your voice. Own your voice. Speak up. Share your ideas. Ask for what you need. Stop over explaining stuff. Stop asking for permission. Stop apologizing and stop downplaying your wins. Women, hear me. Stop downplaying your wins.
Mhm.
You're not boasting. You're not bragging. I belong to a group of amazing women, and one of them was sharing a story, and she started it off with, "I'm hesitant to share this because I grew up with a mother who always told me when I shared stuff, it was bragging. And I don't, nobody likes a braggart, right?" And so she goes through and she shares this amazing story about how something she did really impacted other people's lives. The bulk of the story was the impact it had to other people. It wasn't about her and how amazing she is and
Mhm.
all the things that she did. And so I wrote, this is such a beautiful story. When I think about bragging or being boastful, it's all about you. This was all about the people that you interacted with. It didn't really, you were the conduit,
Mhm.
but nothing about your story is bragging. And she was like, thank you. It- Thank you. And so when we think about our wins, we all have them. And how you position it can feel different. It can feel like I'm bragging because I did this, I did that, versus I did this and here's the impact it has. So really think about your mindset around celebrating your wins and sharing your wins with people.
Can I add something to that one,
Of
Misha?
course.
Thank you. That when we speak to the wins, the things that really resonate with us, that it made a difference for somebody else, by giving voice to that, we're modeling that it's okay to
Amen.
acknowledge that you deliver good, you make a difference, and helping others to see that, you can do that with grace and dignity and not be this braggart kind of person. That's not about that.
Right.
So thank you. Just a little bit.
Yeah. And then I think start before you're ready. Just put yourself out there. Take a bet on you. Take a bet on you. Take up space. Don't play small. Show up unapologetically.
Oh, yes.
Show up unapologetically. Practice it. Practice your confident body language. Practice the words that you're going to say. Have your shoulders back, your head up, and your voice be confident. Practice. You can practice in front of the mirror. When I first started speaking up in meetings, I literally recorded what I wanted to say so that I could hear it coming out of my own mouth. And then I would have to edit because I'm like, that didn't sound right. That did not at all land how I thought it would. So if you need to do that a few times, do it. Nothing wrong with that. I think one of the other things I want to share too is surround yourself with big thinkers. Surround yourself with people that are going to yes and you in your life, not take away from it, not detract from it, not tell you to play small. They're going to encourage you to use your voice. They're going to encourage you to play big.
I would like to offer one thing on the, stepping out boldly, stepping up confidently. For those who may be, they're really feeling right now that, yep, I have been playing small. So the next time you get into a situation where that's where you would normally do that, even if you do nothing else, put on a confident posture. Sit confidently. Be present with confidence. Your head up, your shoulders back, chest proud. Even if you say nothing, your presence will be felt differently. Because you're not playing small if you are pure confident. You're just not. You cannot be hidden.
Yeah.
When you're standing in your confidence.
It's so true. I remember years ago, many, many years ago, walking into a conference room and there's probably going to be 30 or 40 people in the room. And I walked in very confident and sat at the table. And these men looked at me and they were like, you can sit in the back row. Because, the conference room table had the chairs and then around the room were the extras. Mm-hmm. And I said, I'll take my seat at the table. Thank you very much. And they were like, you don't belong at the table. Whether I belong here or not, this is my seat.
Wow.
And I said it just like that. I was never asked to move again. I didn't say anything in that meeting, but I sat at that table like I damn straight belong here. And there was a lot of people sitting in the back row when there were still seats available at the table. And I thought, what an interesting study of human behavior when you walk into a room and think, I'm not going to sit at the big kids' table. I'm going to sit off to the side. Playing small.
And talk about those kinds of norms that we just go along with just because that's the way it is.
It's the way it is.
And
those norms do not need to exist anymore.
No.
They just don't. They just don't. So keep asking yourself, what does it look like for you to play big? And get out there and do it unapologetically.
Go on, you rebels.
Okay, yes, go on, you rebels. You have our support. So with that, I am DocShellie. If you like what you're hearing, give us a like, give us a follow, subscribe, send this off to your friends so they can enjoy it too.
And I'm Carla Lewis, and we'd love to hear your comments. What did you take away from this? What could we have done some more to assist you in getting rebellious out there? Thanks.
Go play big.
Play big.
You got to stop waiting for permission. Nobody is going to give you permission but you. Reframe that question that might be going around in your head. Who am I to do this? Who are you not to do this?